So Bruce, you want to do a roll call?
Yes, I will. All right. Robert Hannon,
I am here.
Richard Berlandi,
Here.
David Fox,
Absent.
Robert Eisner, absent. He called in as well. Neil Kelsey, Mark Simpson. Mark, you there?
Here.
All right.
You were on earlier.
Ned Stachin, Emily Brick, and Robert Canto.
Here.
Okay.
All right, Chair.
Bobby, I'll have you sit in for Robert Eisner tonight because I thought Neil was going to be here. So he may come in a little bit late.
Okay.
Hey, we just got one more. Neil just popped in.
Neil's here now. Okay.
Neil, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
so we have 5 for the meeting. Okay, that's fine.
All right, guys.
So first item on the agenda is the Farmington Land Trust.
Yep, this is just so everyone knows, and Biff and guys, just we'll actually break this up into 2 presentations. This one's for the parking area and the bike trail improvements. The next application will be for the bridge. Go ahead, Biff. Is he there? He was there, no?
There, he's muted though.
Oh, and I'm muted. Oh, okay. Lucky you
There
guys.
you go.
I'm Biff Scheckinger. I'm landscape architect. I'm representing the Farmington Land Trust. And we listened to we revised the plans a little bit pursuant to some of the comments made. And also we added the photographs on the, we're not even talking about the bridge, are we?
No,
No.
this is just the parking area and this and the
Yeah,
bike
well,
trail.
it's a proposal, same proposal. We've talked to the neighbors already because we have to have a special permit because it's a scenic road. There was nothing substantive to change the design that we talked about. So I guess I don't know. We can. If you have any questions, not much. The only thing's changed. We put, make sure that the labels were clear, and I put in the areas of the disturbance, for the different things. So
Right there.
there, and
Yeah,
also down over for the
24.
yeah. So
All right there.
how
and
much
100
curb section, and then up right above it, how much material for the square feet of disturbance there. So
Always like your plans, Biff. Nice and clear.
yeah, they were so good. I would have realized that what that crosshatch property was that I was crossing. The other thing was we did. Yeah, speaking of my gaffe there, we do have a letter from the neighbor, which was it should be in the record now, allowing us to perform the needed remedial maintenance on it from the neighbor. Where are we here?
Just so everyone's kind of
One more.
Yeah.
There we go.
a little slow here. All right, here we go. Just so everyone's aware.
It's over here, Mountain Spring.
Yeah.
There, are you there? Oh, good. You're close.
Yeah, there we go.
There we are.
Yeah, so here's the privately owned property right here.
Right, and the little tongue of land is that one right there. Yeah, and we have a letter from them allowing us to do the remedial maintenance across their property.
There is a conservation easement across this area.
That's the hatched area on the plan.
Yep.
We just to follow through, we have to go to planning and zoning because it's a special permit because it's in a scenic roadway, right of way for the town.
So is that about it? Anything else?
That's about it. I mean, yeah, it's pretty, straightforward.
Okay, so I'll go to commission members to see if they have any questions or comments. Rich, I'll start with you.
No, I don't have any questions or comments.
Okay, thanks. Bobby?
No questions.
Neil?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Mark?
Nothing for me.
And on one of those rare occasions, I really don't have anything to add either. So it sounds like to me, based upon the comments from the last time and what I'm hearing today, is people do not have a problem with this. So would somebody care to make a motion to approve the application?
It's Rich, so moved.
Is there a second?
Mark, second.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to approve the application as amended for this meeting, and all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Well, good luck with that part of the project.
Well, thank you. You all have a good afternoon, and I appreciate the time.
Don't
Oh,
go
wait,
anywhere, Bill.
I got you here. Hey, Bruce, what do we do? How are we handling the bridge with the,
That's next.
That's the next item on the agenda.
Oh, it
That's
is?
the next
Okay.
item on the agenda. Yes.
I was gonna
Yes.
leave. Okay.
No, that's why I was saying stop.
Well, you can, but some folks from the land trust might want to stop you.
Oh, for the exorbitant price I charge them? Sure.
All right, start.
So the next
Go
item
down
on
the
the
plans
agenda
for
is
the
Farmington
bridge.
Land
Second.
Trust, and this is to install a pedestrian bridge over a brook ravine on lot 8706 Prattling Pond Road.
There we go. Now that you asked us to, well, we got the letter from Michael Reiner, who owns the property for the work there. We also provided pictures of where the crossing is. It's about a 3 to 4 foot plus or minus this little swale, but it's because it's such an abrupt little, drop there. They want to be able to cross it without it, going when water's flowing through there, going through it, because it's such a steep little ravine. So that's why we're putting the bridge in. And I would think this would actually reduce any potential for erosion, because we're no longer tromping up and down a little steep little section in and out of that ravine. So in the long run, it's a net reduction in a potential erosion.
So Biff, is this the ravine here? Is that what I'm seeing?
You're stepping down into the bottom of it. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. So the bridge will go so the bridge is going this way, right?
I think you're coming towards you to the bottom right hand, because if you came across the top to the right hand side, it comes down and then comes back. Yeah.
All right, I got you. I got you up here. Okay, understood. So
Yeah, so it's basically, we're gonna be able to not trudge up and down that. There's no way to stabilize the slope unless we cut in some steps on it, because it's kind of steep right there. So
Any idea-
instead of doing that, we're gonna cross over it, and that way then it'll revegetate itself, and there'll no longer be an erosion potential there if people keep tromping up and down that steep little section. So
how long is the bridge?
it's 20, I think it spans about 16 feet, but it's got a footing on either side of 4 feet.
So
kind of.
so it's like, all right.
So 16 feet and 4 feet on either side. So they have beams for 22 feet.
All right, and just I'll pop in the GIS for everybody. So what we're looking at is parking area is over here on Mountain
Yep.
Spring.
Yeah.
Trail comes up, and I think it's pretty much follows, you can see it in here,
Yeah.
comes up. Here's the Farmington Land Trust property itself. Then it crosses over onto this piece, which is owned by the Reiner's Trust, which we have which the Farmington Land Trust has a conservation easement over it. But the bridge is right in
It's-
here, right?
Yeah.
Here or up in here? I think it's down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, they have store, yeah.
You'll see when I turn on the contours. Yeah, there's right there. So there's your. No, it's up in here. Sorry, I apologize. It's up in here.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yep.
Found what kind of footings or what kind of a wall are you putting in there?
I wasn't sure how we were going to anchor it, if we were just going to sit it on a, just on a wood base.
Mhm.
Evan, what were the thoughts on that? Or Peter, you're muted, so.
Yeah, Peter can describe it best.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. You have to introduce yourself.
So it's going to be very similar to that photograph on the left. It'll be 2 6x6, they call them sleepers, cross pieces that will rest on the ground. And because it is a hiking trail, it would be I think it's what's referred to as a permitted non-regulated use, because we are not going to be disturbing the ground very much. Removing a lot of soil or depositing soil.
So you're just gonna rest those wooden sleepers on the ground and you're just gonna fix the bridge to the.
Correct.
Okay. And it's all gonna be pressure treated?
Yes.
Pressure treated, yes.
You guys all set?
Any questions?
That's what we'll find out shortly. Rich?
No, I don't have any questions. That seems pretty straightforward. Thank you.
All right, Bobby?
So just for clarification, I'm just curious. So that's a free floating bridge. There's no anchors into the ground. It just kind of sits on those 6x6s and
Yeah,
cross
sometimes
tubes and all
we'll
that good
put
stuff.
in a rebar, just drive rebar in to make sure it doesn't move.
Okay, that was my question. So we're not, the rebar is holding it in place during the winter months and all that.
Correct,
And the weight of the bridge.
right.
Right. No, I was just curious. I have no questions. I was just intrigued by how we were going to keep it safe.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. Neil?
Could you just speak a little bit to how the construction is going to go? Where you're building this? Are you hand walking everything in?
This is Peter Rapalin. The family that owned this property, the siblings are very interested in constructing the bridge themselves. And Bobby Emery is a neighbor. And I think they plan to use her property and workshop for staging the work there. And Bobby has a tractor that could at least get the materials partway up to the bridge. Otherwise, it'll have to be hand carried.
Okay.
Work party.
That's Emery, you said, right?
Bobby Emery, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Barbara
they're
Emery.
right next door. So they're right here. Their property, the bridge is up in here, and their property's down here. So
Okay. Bruce, anything we need to be concerned with? If they're putting a tractor through there, are they potentially disturbing any wetlands or review areas or anything like that?
no, I mean, Peter's saying that it's all going to be brought in by hand, right, Peter? You said?
Well, we might use a tractor, but I told Bobby that this could only be done during the dry season, not when it's wet. When
And those
it has to be done when the ground is firm.
you use
Okay.
a small enough tractor, I think they could stay on that little on that path and not really cause a problem. So
Okay.
they're not going in
That's
with
all
a
I had.
skid. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
thanks, Neil. Mark?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. I mean, I have confidence in what Bobby would do. I mean, she knows the area out there, so, and I know she's pretty much into conservation as well, so I kind of trust her judgment. But I have two questions for you. One is, you were talking about where people have been walking down into sort of the waterway. Is there any way to go in and maybe do some seeding or planting of something to help stabilize that embankment rather than just waiting for it to hopefully fill in?
Frankly, I think it will fill in naturally just with regular vegetation. It's the wear of people's footprints that are creating that erosion that you see there now. So I think it will naturally anchor itself
Okay,
through the natural vegetation.
all right. And then, given what's just happened up in Vermont,
Uh,
what are we looking at as far as, possibilities here with getting the same type of problems running through this area in town? I know you're talking about using the rebar to help stabilize it. I'm just kind of curious if you thought about it since Vermont got hit with all the rain they just got hit with.
Well, I can give you, I do a lot of trail work for Connecticut Forest and Park. And they're sometimes, when they're concerned about a bridge getting washed away, they will use cable and anchor one side to a tree, so that if the bridge gets washed away, it's not going to go very far, and it's easy to place it back. And that's something we could look into.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, because you don't want to cause a problem someplace else too, because if the bridge were to come off the footings and be carried downstream a little bit, it can catch a lot of branches and other stuff, and now all of a sudden you've created an artificial dam, and it can create other problems. So if that's something you can maybe look at, it'd be appreciated.
Okay.
And then Bruce, I noticed Ned's on the phone.
Ned is on. I was gonna,
Yes.
yep, after you were done, I was gonna,
Nope, I saw his face there with the headset on, so I figured I'll bring him into the conversation.
Yeah, my apologies. I was having technical difficulties. I had to do a restart but I'm here and I've been listening. Oh, and for the record, I did watch the video of the meeting that I missed last month. No, I just was wondering about how it was going to be anchored in, and the rebar, drill a hole in the rebar, and I think that's fine, and that doesn't do too much disturbance. So I really don't have any other questions.
Okay, thanks. So the question I will raise to people is, we've had a number of Boy Scouts come in with projects like this, and we have taken somewhat of a kind look to what they're proposing and how we've treated the potential application. So what's your feeling on this? Is this something we need the full-blown application on, or is this something we think that would be something that is regulated but allowed under the regulations? So Rich, I'll start with you, see what your input is.
I think we can follow the same application or procedure that we followed on the Boy Scout bridges. Yeah, I think we can do it as a regulated non-permitted application.
Okay. Bobby, how about you?
I agree. I don't see a problem with that.
Neil?
Yeah, I would agree.
Mark?
I have no issues at all. I agree.
Okay, thanks. Ned?
Yeah, I agree. I did have one question. I forgot. Can we go back to the map?
which one? The GIS?
Yeah. The plan view.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
or
plan view.
that's good too.
That's the
What-
same
what-
sheet.
Yeah, what it on so the border between 9525 and 9528, when you near the road, what is that jog in there? Is that like protecting anything, or the
No,
reason-
that was set up. If some of you remember, it was the old it was a wand. It was called the wand subdivision. There was a bunch of lots in here. Like I want to say there was 3 or 4 lots in there.
There
was
were
a
three
detention-
in the original homestead, yeah.
And then there was a detention basin when this was an outlet pipe. So
Yeah.
they had to keep that as part of it. So they kept it as their property, just flagged it as a conservation easement. So the land trust can use it for that trail. So
Oh, okay.
that's
right.
all, that's all. So since that time, those lots have been extinguished. So we're back to one property.
Okay. Thank you.
And I feel the same way. We can do this as well, not dealing with it as a full-blown application, but a regulated type of activity, but it's allowed under the regs. So Bruce, do we need a formal motion on that one? I think we do.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please, we would like that.
Okay, so would somebody care to make that motion?
And that's going to be, if someone has the agenda there, it's a permitted as of right in accordance with section 4-A.4. Or yes,
I'll make that motion
Okay, is there a second?
as permitted.
It's Rich, I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to approve this as a permitted non-regulated use in accordance with section 4B2 of the regulations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Good luck.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank
all.
you.
Have a good evening.
Beth,
Yeah,
before you, if anyone else leaves, just give us a holler when you're doing the work, just to give us a heads up so we can
yeah,
stop up there.
we'll keep you apprised of, yeah, and well, also, we still have to get our special permit for the parking area and stuff.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
true.
but I'll keep you apprised, Bruce, especially as fall comes around, we're waiting for we get drier weather.
Awesome.
I'll
All right,
keep
guys.
Peter will keep in touch with you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is winding trails. I think this has something to do with some tennis courts.
So we got Brian and Cunningham from Robert Green Associates, and I think Scott is there as well. You guys still there?
Yes, we are.
There you go. Go ahead. It's all yours. I'll put up the plans. You know what? We'll start with the GIS. How's that? Give everyone an idea of where it is.
Yeah, I'll give you just a quick overview. So this is our tennis and pickleball area. It's also an area that we do our street hockey program for summer camp right down there. And those courts were put in back in 1994. So over the last 15 years, we've been spending anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year fixing crack repairs, and they're long overdue to be replaced. So we are looking to put post-tension concrete courts in. It would be 3 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, and then 3 temporary pickleball / street hockey area. Essentially on the same footprint that is currently there.
So I got the plans up on the screen.
Yes, it is, Bruce. That's plan is what we call the removals plan. It shows the outline of the tennis courts today and the pickleballs that we're using up there. We're removing the gazebo next to the parking lot and some of the bituminous sidewalk that goes from the parking lot to the tennis courts. If you go to the next sheet, that'll be our proposed site plan. So, and Bruce actually made this colored image for us. In red, you can see the existing court outline, and the proposed court is 5 feet longer than the existing on each end. Okay, we're staying away from our surface stormwater drainage yard drains that go around the current tennis courts. We're proposing a concrete sidewalk 4 foot wide from the parking lot along the east side of the tennis courts. We've got a couple of gated access points gates in the chain link fence to get into their courts. So it runs about 3/4 of the way up the overall site. On the lower, this north is up to the top of the page. So on the southeast corner, we're proposing a maximum of 4 foot high retaining wall set about 6 feet off the edge of the sidewalk. And that's to allow our maintenance staff access so they can get in and mow the grass and do other maintenance activity in the tennis courts and around the tennis courts. And let's see.
Can you go over a little bit of the stormwater, where this court pitches or slopes to, and what the under drain, all the piping is around it? Do you have any?
Well,
Okay.
there's an existing under drain under the bituminous tennis court. Our designer of the tennis courts, because we're going with a post-tension concrete, has advised us that we do not need to maintain the under drains.
Mhm.
And what the contractor will do is he's gonna grind up the old surface and prepare that to be the base for the new tennis courts set on top. And when they do that, the under drains that are there would be disturbed, but we don't need, they're not necessary anymore. So we'll just abandon them in place.
And which way does the court slope now, or will it pitch?
It's flat.
Oh,
It kind of, if I had to say, I guess if you got a level out, you can see which way it's tilted today, but there's drainage pickup points at the two northerly corners. You can see some structures out there. There's swales around the court that also feed to collect any stormwater that comes off the slopes above the tennis courts, as well as that which flows off the tennis courts. And then inevitably, there's probably some flow that flows directly into the moat. That's part of the Dunning water renovation, construction, processing that they do on their site, on their property. So chain link fences are surrounding and separating the courts. Talk about the short retaining wall. As far as erosion and sedimentation control during construction, there's a separate next sheet shows the erosion control. It's essentially a compost sock that'll surround the entire project area. And then as an extra measure, we'll put hay bales over the existing yard drains during construction until everything gets restabilized. Essentially, you're coming back to the same elevation as was there today. So it won't take a whole lot to reestablish the vegetation, the grasses along the edges of the courts. And that's a high level summary. If you've got specific questions, Scott or myself can address those at that time. If you go to the detail sheet, I'll just go over, well, that's something we just got today from our court designer. That gives you a little detail of how the post-tensioning concrete slabs look. This is what the high school used last time they renovated the courts up there. They held up really well. And that's what the industry is going toward these days. Most every tennis court being done these days is post-tension concrete because as we found out, when you use pavement over time, it ages, cracks, and you got to keep filling the cracks. We have members that complain about the cracks and the dead spots because of the patching methods that are used. And I think we got our money's worth out of the initial construction, and it's time to move on to a more durable product that's available now that wasn't back in the day. If you just scroll down a little bit on that, Bruce. Yeah, just some other construction details as far as the net posts and the chain link fence posts. There's a 12-inch or 24-inch wide concrete curb that separates the slabs between the types of courts and then around the edges of the courts. And that helps protect the post-tensioning cables that are used from the elements and all. And it gives a good base for the chain link fences and all that help keep the balls in the court of play. And if you scroll down a little more, I can talk a little bit. I'll keep going down. These are construction details. I don't know if you guys can really get into those or not. There's another detail sheet, Bruce. I got confused for a second here.
It was only that one sheet, I thought.
Yeah,
From them, I think,
there's on the package of the little 8.5 by 11 sheets, the last sheet of that is what I was trying to get to.
page 5.
Oh, okay, all right. So. one second.
Sorry, I messed up on you. Up one, must be sheet 4.
Before and after, no?
No, before that one.
This one,
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
we're good now.
That shows the compost sock in the upper right, and then
Hmm.
we're using an Atlas concrete retaining wall, the precast blocks. We use them alongside our playground last fall, winter, and came out really nice. Looks good. Members all like it, and I think it's something that we're more or less adopting as a park standard whenever we get into these a need for a short wall or a seat wall or anything like that. And the height's a maximum of 2 blocks high with an 8-inch cap on top of that. So that's in a nutshell what we've got. So if you've got questions, we'll do our best to respond to your questions.
Okay, thank you. Ned, start with you on this one.
Okay, what is that body of water that's like right next to the tennis courts? Yeah,
Dunning Sand and Gravel owns that. It's part of his wash basins that he washes his stone and gravel with. So there's 3 bays that he will transfer water between in washing his material. And that little moat is an overflow that goes to that larger pond at the south end of the page.
okay. And that's not connected to
That's not
the pond?
connected to Dunning. That's not connected to our lake, no.
Okay, all right. And how big are these pre-tension slabs or post-tension slabs? I mean, are you gonna need a big crane to get them in, or?
Well, they pour in place. So it's gonna be one pour. This company just did all of the courts at Hall High School and Conard High School. They did the ones down at Buena Vista. They did Duke University. They did down University of New Haven. That's all they do. And they're doing we had some discussions. There's another engineer on our committee that questioned that, but he will do that in one pour.
So they pour the concrete, they let it set, and then they post-tension it?
That's my understanding then.
Yeah, they'll have conduit through there that then they'll run that cable through and tighten it to whatever specs they need. It essentially floats. It's a giant slab that will essentially float. And so you don't get any of the cracking. You get a 25-year guarantee on any cracking. And they're saying, it's relatively new, but it's the same type of engineering they've been using on bridges forever.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they loaded all at once, Ned. I think they loaded over a period of time, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I may be wrong with that, Bruce, but it's poured on site.
Yes, poured on site, but the tensioning happens over a short period of time. So as you know, concrete's 7-14, it's relatively at its max, but they just over time, they don't want to load it all at once because then it may just micro crack, in the surface. So they'll just load it over time.
Well, I mean, it's just a slab on the ground, so they probably don't have to post tension it as much as they would a girder or a deck or anything like that. But,
Yeah, what they're doing is they're post tensioning it so these joints, the joints in between each other are tight. And,
yeah, I get that.
And the concrete and it doesn't flex as much. So
okay.
All right.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ned. Mark?
When do you think this project will begin?
We're hoping, Mark, to start it September 15th or thereabouts. And my understanding is they come in and will do the reclamation of what's there, pour the concrete, and let it sit, and it sits all through winter into late spring. Because the process, they have a patented process of 7-coated system for the decking on top, and it has to be, nights and days have to be over 50 degrees in order to put that down. So they would start in September, and the courts probably wouldn't be ready until the first week of June. But
Well, I
they'll just
figured
sit.
you wouldn't do it during the, I figured you wouldn't do it during the busy summer months. There'd be too many people around. I'm also pleased that drainage, you're talking about the drains underneath the current courts, you're just leaving them there. So it sounds like that would minimize even further any disturbance or any moving any material around. So if the current courts are tar, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Yes.
So they're just going to be ground up, the material is going to be taken away and, somewhere else. So you're not leaving anything there, and is there anything other materials besides the retention wall that you're bringing in to make this project complete besides cement?
Really just bringing the concrete in. They plan to use the ground up old court as a base material, and they'll supplement that as needed to get them ready to do their reinforcing setup and then their concrete pour. So it's just, the concrete is coming in by a few trucks. Yep. The concrete block wall will come in on a truck or two. It's not a lot of blocks. I meant to count them, but I didn't. But it's just really short wall. And they'll be staging down in the parking lot right there, and won't disturb any of our other activities. And the fall's our slower time of the year anyway, so.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, that's all for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Neil?
I really don't have anything, just a curiosity on the tensioning, since I'm not familiar with that. Is there any maintenance involved with that, where they have to periodically retighten or do any maintenance on it?
I don't believe there's anything in the future that they need to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had 3 or 4 meetings with this classic turf, and there's been the only maintenance would be every 7 to 10 years they recommend recoating. But
Okay.
there was no mention of anything with the tensioning.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's hope pickleball exists for longer than a few years.
I think it is.
Certainly looks like it will.
All right, thanks, Neil. Bobby?
Just a couple things. So we're pulverizing those courts and keeping them in place. You're not removing any of the material. So I'm assuming that the courts are just going to elevate up the thickness of the concrete that's being poured, which is what, 4 or 5 inches?
Correct.
Okay, so we're not really changing the elevation that much. Also, you had mentioned putting hay bales over the existing catch basins.
Yeah.
Is that going to be incorporated with silt socks, or are we not using silt socks?
I wasn't gonna call for them here. Again, we're not really doing much disturbance to the ground in the area of any of those basins. So I think the compost socks, all the catch basins are yard drains are outside the compost socks. So it's more of a belt and suspenders is putting the hay bale around or on top of the grates.
Okay, so it's more of just a secondary backup in case something was to flood out?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, other than that, I don't have a problem with it. I'm actually, I come from a concrete background, and I'm curious to see how this tensioning thing works. So let me know when it starts, because I want to go watch it.
Yeah.
I could tell you some of my neighbors were upset when they cut up the concrete to break them up to build a high school. Apparently got to be very dusty.
Yes, it is a very dusty job.
All right, thanks, Bobby. Rich?
No, I think everybody's kind of covered any questions I had, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, I do have one, Bruce, staying on the same picture. It looks as though there are no erosion and sedimentation control measures in place, downgrading of the wall that's being proposed.
Like,
Is that correct?
well, there's a fence here, and there's a fence here, runs all the way along
Yeah.
this area
Right.
here.
But I'm
Where?
looking to see if there's any erosion control measures put in on the downslope side. Oh, no, actually, I take it back because it's, okay, because you're starting off from what, 204, 206, and then it's going down. But you may still want to have, well, actually, let me ask it a different way. So the area behind the wall, is that going to be sort of level with the courts? Then, because you're talking about that's being
Yes.
kept so they can do some mowing in that area?
Yeah, to get the equipment around the corner to get in and do the rest of the area around the courts, yes. Yeah,
Okay, so that area, will it be, the grade, will that be pretty much consistent with the level of the courts?
yes, it will.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't have, you know, in that spot, some erosion sedimentation control issues and.
Well, if it does
have
come
to be
out,
the
it'll
same
come over here.
elevation to be okay.
It should hit this wing and just get funneled into here. I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt maybe during construction if needed to have a small little low point here if it does become a problem, you know, to collect it all.
Yeah, and I just
That's-
wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to generate an erosion problem during construction. I think, if that's going to be a relatively flat area that's flush with the top of the wall and the courts, that should be fine. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think there'd be a problem there.
Okay, no, that's all I really had. So based on what I'm hearing from commission members, nobody really seems to have a problem with this, given the fact that they're in essence replacing an existing fixture that's out there that's been there since the 1990s, if I remember correctly. Is this something that we need an application on, or is something that can be permitted as of right in accordance with section 4A for the regulations?
I thought this was more of a maintenance thing because it's already there. So that's
Yeah.
why I suggested it be a permitted as of right, which actually does not require an application.
Right, and that's where I'm going with this.
Yep.
I would agree with that because it's just, you know, you're just taking one cord out and putting another cord in.
Yeah. Mark?
Is with this at all. I say it's a maintenance procedure. It's a little more involved in normal things, but I think it definitely falls within that statute.
Okay, thanks. Neil?
Yeah, I agree. And if it works, then there's actually less maintenance. As Scott was pointing out, they were constantly filling cracks before. They won't have to going forward. So it's an improvement that way.
Okay, thank you. Bobby?
Yeah, I can follow that train of thought. I have no problem considering it a maintenance thing.
Okay, and Rich?
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Okay, I agree as well. So would somebody like to make a motion that this is it's permitted as of right use in accordance with section 4A4 of the regulations?
So moved, Ed.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
They have a motion on the floor to approve this as a permitted activity as of right. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Good luck.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Scott, same as the other one,
Yeah.
just if you don't mind just giving us a heads up when the work's getting done so we can stop over.
Absolutely.
Will do. All right, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, number 4, cease and desist for property located at 504 Main Street, lot
Give me a second.
8451.
All right. All right, so let me do this here. We had a staff member was going in the area, noticed there was some cutting that was actually occurring. let me jump over on the GIS, probably easier. Give me a
What are
sec.
you, some putting that was, what did you say, Bruce?
No, clearing, sorry,
Oh, cutting, clearing, or clearing. Okay, yeah.
cutting and clearing, sorry.
I thought they were putting this. Is that what you got? Golf course going in there?
So what I have here is I've kind of married, because it's right on, so this is Main Street, Route 10, okay? This is the 504 Main Street, if you're familiar with that. This is, well, not, it's not Ducey Electric. What's the company over here? The electric company's over here. So this is the Firestone, if you're familiar with it, right at the Northwest Drive intersection. So there's a little error with our GIS. I guess this piece of property is an orphaned piece of property from what the owner was telling me. There's actually a property line that runs across here. So let me jump over to here. This is the Plainville side of their GIS, but here's a portion of the large portion of the property that extends out into the Farmington property, which is, I'll go back one more time, which is this right here. So the owner had purchased this piece of property here and was in the process of working with the current owners and his attorney to purchase this piece of property as well. All right. So getting back to what happened is going by, we noticed that this was all cleared and there was some grading that was going on. So let me jump in on some pictures here. So the first time we went out was, there we go. You know what? Let me use this. This was from 2016. This is the best I could come up with for a picture, but this is looking towards Plainville. So this is looking south. If you look, those sheds, Northwest Drive is just down the street there. So this is kind of what it looked like in 2016. All right. So marry that up with our aerial mapping, and you could see that there was some vegetation in there. Okay. All right. Let me go back. Let me go back one more time here. So here's the Pequavic. All right. Get this out of the way. When you turn on our wetlands map, okay, it only depicts a portion of this as wetland. As I actually explained to the owner, this is not a field on the ground survey. This is just from old soil surveys that were done in the 50s and the 60s. So that is not cognizant of what the actual wetlands are. So, and I apologize, there's just, because it's on the property line, I mean, because it's on the town line, there's just so many things I'm going to be going back and forth with. So when you turn on our storm layer, you'll see there's an existing, as this is a state road, there's an existing pipe that ends here. That's what our plan showed, but actually the pipe was extended at some point down to here, and the outlet's right around here. All right. Plainville has a pipe as well. It runs through, it picks up, and I have that plan if needed, but it picks up a lot of this neighborhood, runs down Northwest Drive here, out here, and outlets right in this location here. So if you look, there it is right there. There's the pipe right there. So there's a pipe that comes out, runs along here, outlets here, and flows in these spots you'll see right through here. So it marries back up into the Pequavic at this location. Here's the Firestone air view of what's going on. I have a copy of a map. Firestone, here we go. So getting back, this is Main Street here. There's the pipe that we were talking about, the other pipe on the south side that outlets here. This you can see from the aerial. I'll bump you back to the aerial. Here's Firestone's detention basin. Here's that outlet structure. All right. Goes out, flows out through here. Here's that pipe again, and here's where the wetlands, here's a portion of where the wetlands were flagged. Okay, they went off the property a little bit at that time when this was first proposed. So you can see there were some wetlands. the river is way down here, but this is where they had a field, they had done some field location up in that area. All right, so going back to the photos, this, I showed you what it looked like back in 2016. Taking you to when we first saw this on June 27th. Firestone property is to the back right now. So we're standing on like the Firestone property there, looking straight ahead at 504 Main Street. There's that pipe I mentioned earlier, right here. The state pipe that outlets right around here is this pipe is right over here. All right, so this area has been cleared roughly from this line here all the way over to here, back to something like this. So that's approximately the area that's been cleared. All right, so just scrolling around, this is Main Street looking west at the building. Same thing, here's the Firestone detention basin, there's the outlet structure, and you can see that that's where the wetlands were mapped at some point. Where they are exactly in this, I can't be 100% at this point. You can see the trees that were stacked up. The owner stated, I spoke with the owner, they stated that they didn't do any fill, but I'm not sure if this is some grading material that they pushed along there, not sure. So that was when we initially saw it. Next, we made contact with the owner, explained to him what our concerns were, wanted to get some silt fence up. All right, so do this. So these are some pictures. This is the outlet by the building, the estate. That's the state pipe there. You can see we're looking towards the Firestone property this way, so we're looking south at this point. There's some debris I think that was on the property that they kind of just harnessed all together in one pile. Here's the silt fence that they installed. All right, you can see, like I said, they're saying they didn't fill, but maybe this was some of the grading that was pushed there because it does look freshly disturbed. But right over here is the state outlet pipe that runs along here and outlets over here. Just to bring back a little more history, I had sent some emails, copies of emails earlier this year. The owner was working with us and the state to try to extend the pipe further because where that water was outletting, it was affecting his block retaining wall that was holding up the parking lot back where the car is. So you'll see that picture as we go on here. This is looking south. The outlet from Plainville is over here and runs out down through here. You can see the water. There it is right through here. This is looking north. This takes a curve, goes back out to the Puklavik. Same thing. So the erosion control was installed. We had a couple concerns. There was a couple of areas that washed out during one of the storms. So Garrett from our office had contacted the owner and we had him do some fixing of it. So you'll see here we had flagged up some areas for him to fix. This was overtopped. So these were then back out. This is back on July 5th. Same thing. Material was overtopped. It had washed out, blew out into the wetland area or the supposed wetland area. So some of the grading along the building looking east towards Main Street is right there. So fence overtopped still. And this was on July 5th. The DOT pipe from Plainville comes out through here and wraps around. And here's the pipe from Here's the pipe from Main Street on the south side of the property along the Plainville line. So the pipe water comes out, hangs out, and makes a right-hand turn heading north towards the Aquatic. So there's that pipe. There's that Plainville DOT pipe right in there. So that is, so from our initial visit on the 27th, we had made contact with the owner, discussed it with them, got the silt fence installed, sent them a cease and desist, told them the process, explained to him that he needed to come in front of the commission. We talked he said he has an engineer involved, and I suggested he get involved to talk with the engineer / surveyor to look at getting a survey started, getting a wetland scientist out there to actually flag the wetlands. And then based on our discussions with the contractor, we had him trying to fix the fence, and as of 7/5, it was not fixed because he was still having problems trying to get a contractor out there to fix it. So at that point, I think we have everything. I think I brought everyone up to date at this point. I do have the owner here. If you want, Chair, he can do a little presentation or discussion on his end to tell his side of it. And then we can go from there. In the agenda review, if everybody's looked at it, I more or less broke out the history, explained the process, and came up with a list of possible suggestions that we can look to move forward with.
You do what they want you to do and keep it option.
Bruce, I want to ask a question based on what you've seen out on the site.
Mhm.
And for the silt fence to basically be under dirt right now, how much fill was brought into the site? Any idea?
I'm being told the owner had stated that there was no fill brought in, but like you said, you can see this looks like it was, and again, maybe it was just, maybe if you look at my other pictures here, do we have a picture on this one? I opened up the other ones. No, not in the 7.5s. Probably under these, let's do the 6.20 or 7.3s. There you go. So as of the clearing, you could see the material that's been, all the tracking that was done. They may have pushed the material around, and moved it around. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm being told that they brought no fill in to the site.
Yeah, so basically then the contours have been significantly altered, which, I mean, that to me is the only way you're gonna have the silt fence buried.
Well, that was from that silt fence was buried from one of the heavy storms because it was early. I think it was one of those weekends that we had that 2 inches and then another 2 inches. So that was actually caused by a storm.
Yeah, but what the silt fence is what, 2.5, 3 feet high?
Yep.
So
And
to have
what
that much
happens,
of the silt fence covered,
I think what happens is it's graded in such a way that it may be hard to see on ours, but it's graded in such a way that a lot of the stormwater flow down there, knocked it over and carried that material and actually, as you said, filled up and overtopped the silt fence.
yeah, but just looking at that photo that's right there, I mean, it looks as though the dirt was like 3-4 feet higher than the silt fence.
Back in here. So,
I mean, because it looked like the silt fence came down and it was at a low spot, but yet the material on site is a whole lot higher.
Yep, but that's further, again, maybe that's just, let me see if I get a better picture here.
Excuse me. Hi, this is Val Hidra. If he goes back there where you're talking about that specific area, there's a drain pipe under there. That's why it looks higher. I don't know if he made that clear. And this is also during the storm. This is right after the storm we had for 3 days. You get a figure. So there was a little washout. But I also corrected that issue. I don't know, he didn't post it, but there's a picture I sent to Mr. Daigle, I believe it is. He didn't put on July 5th with the correction.
Oh, you
And
did? All right,
yes, can you hear?
I didn't get that. Okay, I'll check with Garrett on that one.
Yeah, and you could see with the correction, and also I could email it to you right now if you want to pull it up. Is there?
No, I can't do it right from here. So you're saying that the
Okay, 'cause-
control was fixed?
With the hay, they didn't use hay. It's something with the straw, and there's like a netting they
Okay.
put down. Yep, so that's also there. I have it in the pictures, which was sent to him on July 5th.
Okay. So Chair, if I go through it, and maybe it's this, I'm just trying to get a better picture for you, but I thought I had a better picture of,
Is there any way I could show this picture? It's actually a much clearer picture. What that kind of looks a little tough the way you have it set up there. And you said there's no way to send it or see it?
yeah, I don't have the email on this computer. It's back on my other one. So,
Okay. Yeah, it was sent on July 5th.
yeah, no, it's fine. No, I believe you. If you did send it, I'll talk with Garrett in the morning and we'll go over that. All right. All set, Chair?
Yeah, just, again, and just in looking at it, the perspective that I see is, it looks as though there was fill brought in, but it may not be fill brought in. It may just be reconfiguring the topography on the site.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing here. And this is what I've been trying to, because it's an old piece of property, we don't have any real surveys or any kind of information for it. So I was fooling around with contours, trying to get an idea. You turn this off, this may help a little bit, but it's good to see where the pipe is. So this comes out through here, runs this way here. You can see the slope right there. You can see the steep slope.
That pipe, the Plainville pipe, runs more to the left. That other pipe, but there is a drop.
Yeah, you can see there was some, based on our aerial mapping, aerial's topo, there is somewhat of a steeper slope in here. Was it that steep? I don't think so. Like I said, my thinking is that there was some grading done that pushed the material just to kind of level out the area as much as they can.
I could tell you this, I didn't grade anything. I could tell you that if you come to the property, what I need is a lot of it removed, not brought in, because of the way it slopes, it's sloping towards the building. So what I need is actually that whole piece to come down. You must know. The way it's graded right now, it's grading towards the building. So that wouldn't make any sense. All the water's coming towards the building. So the only thing, if you saw on one of your pictures, the only thing that was done was built basically a barrier wall, like a thing there. I don't know if you go back, I saw one of your pictures actually showed it up against alongside the building.
Oh.
It was cleaned. Yep, it shows that just so the water could stop coming towards the building. What actually be done here is right there. You see it? Because the way it's sloping towards the building right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's coming towards the building. So that's the only thing that was done is right there in that section. Everything else was original. So what actually needs to come, what I need is that whole area graded down, not up. So fill is definitely not a situation needed to be here, if you can see it. That's why, therefore, I was saying there was definitely nothing brought in. There's actually material that needs to come out. Also, I don't know if he made it clear with that wall, it's actually collapsing. The reason we've been going back and forth with the state, been waiting on this project, the wall, the drain there is going halfway, 3/4 of the way through the property, and it's draining about 10 feet from the building, which they didn't show. And it's collapsing the parking lot, and it's actually a half of the building. And in the back of that building there is an academy for children, which I've been pushing for, which no one has, right there. Yep. There's an academy there for kids in the back there, and that whole corner is collapsing. So that's why I've been going back and forth trying to get this going. that drain goes all the way out to the street. That drain is pointing at right there, goes all the way out to the street. Right now, it's just
Yeah.
collapsing the entire parking lot. What needs to be done, I guess. So I had the state engineer out. We've gone back and forth. They won't cover it. They're saying I have to pay out of pocket, but they can get it
Yeah.
done. What needs to be done is that extended out. So
Yep,
that,
and then that was when you were working with Garrett in April on that. We were
yeah,
working,
well,
we were working with, Monique Burns from the state. And both
Yep.
emails back and forth to you were, any work you're gonna do here, you need to get the local permitting for inland wetlands, zoning, whatever is actually required. So that was back in April. So, and here we
Okay.
are in June. The work, this area was cleared. There was no discussion, there was no call. This was all
okay.
cleared and graded,
And
no was control.
Graded, I did not grade anything there. It was cleared in the front. And when I looked at the map, which I also went over with you, I looked at the wetlands map. I was told, I originally thought, which I was wrong, was supposed to be 100 feet from the wetlands map. Okay. So when I looked at the wetlands map, I figured it's the edge of the river. So I followed the edging of the river. I measured personally, which I told you that day, which, you know, I'm wrong because I guess you're saying it's not the map, is what you told me, correct?
This is not a field survey. This is a general basis the state put together in the 50s and 60s based on an aerial soil survey. There was never boots on the ground. That's
And
why
it's based on a
it's pretty
minimum
clear.
3-acre lot size.
What was that?
It's based on a minimum 3-acre lot size and what's the prevalent soil in it.
Exactly. So,
So originally, I thought this was the wetlands, the blue area. And when I measured, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did somebody say something?
so yeah, so this is the pipe here, as we said, looking at the
Mhm.
Firestone property and their mapping, their wetlands comes out through here. So they flagged a little bit of it out into here. So like I said, is I think where this outlet of this water comes out from the state and follows through here, this is a wetland. I'm assuming it's a wetland based on what I see. And as such, this is a regulated area as well. So that's why when we discussed this, well, let me just finish. Hold on. Let me just finish. I had mentioned that you discussed with the engineer, get a survey, get a soil scientist out there, you know, let's get some boots on the ground and start looking where the wetlands are, because that's the important part. So, I mean, we're sitting here pointing, where's the wetlands? We don't know. The only one who could tell us exactly where they are is a soil scientist. So.
Okay. Yeah. So what, if I could finish, what I did, I went off of the map I saw from the town, and I figured that what I looked at here is the edge of the river, and that's what I think off of, and I didn't know. And now I was told that you're saying that that's not accurate, which I didn't know. I thought you go off of the town maps, from what I understand. And that drain pipe that you're saying from the Plainville side, it actually goes out to the left. If you come to the left, go out to the left.
Nope.
Yep.
It's right there. You see it? There's the head wall right there.
It goes out to the left. If you keep straight to the out, keep going, a little more out. Yeah,
I don't think so, because you can see the pictures. The pictures that
well, if we walk it, that's why I asked you to come.
Yeah.
If
And
you
that's
walk,
well, yes. We were told not to go on the property without us calling you first. So,
yeah,
this is the area that's running from that large pipe, and here's the distance to where the erosion control is. Help me out here. I'll get it. But here's the erosion control. That is right out in here. We have some pictures. So many dates. We have so many different times. I'm trying to gather them all at once here. So bear with me. Files are pretty big too.
well, I'd like to ask what the wetlands department thinks and what do they want to see is my major question.
And that's what this is for.
Here, guys on the department, their group, that there was no added fill here, because like I said, if you saw in one of the pictures, what I need is removal. If you come on the property, you can see the grade. It's all pointing towards the building, not
Understood.
out.
But when you look at this,
Yeah, it looks on that
it's
section.
pretty
it looks
disturbed.
tight.
This is very loose. So there's been some movement of material there.
Yeah, because of the gutter. There's no gutter on that section. If you look back on one of the pictures I saw, the gutters are off.
Mhm.
That's probably what had happened. A lot of rain, and,
Right.
you know. But nothing was brought in. I promise you that. I wouldn't do that.
Doesn't matter right now.
Okay.
But moving forward, I'd like to know what would you guys like to see, or I mean, I wish you could see the picture that I sent on the 5th. You could see I cleaned up, and I put they put down the netted hay, and also a new cleared up and cleaned up and put a new silt fence.
Well, if you
By
email it to me now, and while we're working on this, I'll see if I can get it moved over.
okay.
What's the ultimate goal?
My original goal is to actually fix the parking lot. The parking, see, they're not showing, there's a collapse in that whole corner back there.
Mhm.
From that drain. Drain is pointing towards the parking lot. So what's happening right now, there's actually a big drop there's a wall behind that he has the pictures. I don't know. They're not showing.
Yeah. I've got them in the file. I can go get those if we need them. But
Yeah,
it's an old, Bobby, it's an old concrete block wall. So
No, and I get that, Bruce, and I'm looking, he's talking about fixing that corner to help the parking lot, but that's a far distance away from the other section that was cleared out. So what was the purpose of clearing out that entire section? What's the ultimate goal?
There was junk all across the parking lot. It was just terrible. It was just a complete eyesore. If you know the area, if you go there, literally piles of junk everywhere. My original was just to clean up. That's the original. That was my original plan there. I wanted to clean up the place so it didn't look bad, because it looked horrible. Literally, if you still go there, there's still junk, bottles everywhere, stuff. I picked up so much trash out of this place. It was unbelievable. It was just, that was my original thing. I wanted it clean because it looks terrible.
See, this is Ned. You wanted to clean it up, but you clear cut it completely. We rented that place, and I'm very familiar with it. And there was a lot of trees in there, and boom, every tree is gone. And this is all within a stone's throw of the Quabic River. It's extremely concerning that it was still so recklessly
I'm still about 100 and something feet from the river. I'm not that close to the river. I don't know if it shows, but
yeah,
that view right there.
Again, Val, what we're talking about, the river is here, yes, but
Yep.
there's also a wetland and an apparent wetland running right through here, right towards here, coming out. So you'll see like I said, there's actually two questions. Are you in a wetland? If not,
Yep.
you're definitely within 150 feet of a wetland. So our regulation is broken up into two sections. So
Okay.
that's where I suggested that an engineer get involved for the surveying, a surveyor to get involved for surveying, and to have a soil scientist out there to do some wetlands survey.
That's your proposal.
Bruce, if I could just ask, when did you make that suggestion? Was it before this was clear cut or after?
What was that?
The suggestion that a soil scientist get involved to delineate the wetland.
Nothing on the soil scientist, because at that point we were just talking about he wanted to extend the pipe through here. So there was some question on the wall, and we said, look, anything you do needs to go through wetlands first. So we said, we, along with the state, told them you need inlet, you need local wetlands and any other permitting required if you want to extend the pipe.
And was that in April?
That was in April. That was our last discussion, or that was our only discussions with them at that time. And then in June 22nd or so, we go out there and this is all clear cut.
So between April and now, an assumption was made by the property owner that he was not in a wetland, so he could just clear it without checking with anyone. Is that fair? Okay.
Yes, I would say that.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, I didn't assume off the mapping. I wasn't in it, So I thought it was okay. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't have done anything. If you guys just want to see something there right now that I can do, I'll do it. Just just let me know.
But I
don't
think that
wanna-
one of the,
I try-
Commissioner Canto kept saying, and I think I have the same question for you is, there's one thing is to clean up piles of junk on the property, but to clear cut and do all that grade or whatever grading or not, I mean, what is your ultimate goal for this portion of the property?
Well, in the front area, that area right there where you are, I could add parking. The back, I wanted to do grass or something, make it look clean. Just not a dump. I was tired of being a landfill, looking like a landfill anyway. But if there's any suggestions that the town wants, the wetlands officials like to see, I have no issue. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, I think the bigger issue though is that where people tend to get into the most trouble is when they make assumptions about the area and then go forward based on inaccurate information and then come to us and sort of beg for forgiveness. That, again, the wetland maps, what Bruce was saying, if this is based on the old soil surveys back in the late 50s, early 60s, they were not site specific. So typically what happens nowadays, you have somebody go out there, they flag the wetlands, so you have some idea of what's going on. I don't think people may have had that much of an issue if it was to maybe bolster that back corner of the parking area so that it's no longer subsiding, things of that nature. But it's tough when somebody comes in and basically clear cuts a site and it looks like dirt's been moved around. And it's been somewhat regraded, or at least some of the dirt's been moved, if not the whole site. And that's what's kind of led to getting rid of the protective cover. And then when you get a bunch of rain, that's what happens. So there wasn't any plan really going forward there that we had looked at. So I think that's where people are coming across with this. And they're questioning why it was done in the first place. Because there were no permits to go ahead and do it. And again, looking at the aerials right here, it does look like there are some very specific wetland locations on this site that I'm not sure they're still there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what other people were also alluding to, is that, again, it's one thing to go in and, clean up a site. It's another to go in and basically level it. And all vegetation is removed. That's just an open invitation for a problem if you have any heavy rain, which unfortunately all across the country right now, we're dealing with some of that stuff and there's more coming. So we may have some more issues coming up over the weekend on the site. Unless a better job of stabilizing it, at least until people can figure out what we need to do out there. But I don't think we have the information right now to say what can.
If you have an email, I
That's the
could
issue.
email to everybody on the Wetlands
No,
Commission.
I told you that, Val, I told you, just email it to me. I'm waiting for it now. I haven't gotten it yet. So.
Going through. It did go through to Garrett.
No, not Garrett, Bruce.
I know. I'm trying to send it to you, but right where I am right now, I don't think the service is too great.
And that's, and that's not, that's fine. I could always follow up with the commission after. I think the important thing is that we get a game plan here, and that's what I had called out in the agenda review. I think we've got to get out there and get some meet with your engineer and your soil scientist to get a game plan on erosion control first, and then mapping of the wetlands.
That, to me, that is the starting point. I think with what's being forecast, At least let me double check on that, because I thought they were talking
Oh.
about a fair amount of
Yes.
rain this weekend with some heavy rains possible.
Yeah, they're talking rain for,
Yeah, it's
Tomorrow,
that time of
Friday,
year when the
Saturday.
humidity, it could just rain all of a
Yeah,
sudden, you
so,
know?
I mean, one of the issues is right now, there's nothing stabilizing the site at all.
Well, I don't know if you guys could see my map. Can you see this? I could show you on my phone. I mean, I don't know if you got a view of this.
No,
Can
we
you see it?
No, I can't see it.
No, not on your phone.
No.
So, I mean, that, Bruce, that's the first thing, I mean, I think that's gotta be done, is we need to get the site stabilized.
Yep.
And then, like you say, you have the engineer come in, the soil scientist come in, figure out what's there at the site. Have some of the wetlands been filled in? You know, has, there've been problems created that way, and then, because we don't have the basic information to really figure out what the approach is gonna be on this. I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from on it. I don't know about Bruce, I mean, is that kind of where you're looking at right now? I mean, we need to get the site stabilized because of the weather that's coming up. I mean, they're talking about potentially 5 days of rain in a row.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen is it's just gonna create more of a mess out there if the site's not stabilized. So that's gotta get taken care of. But we also need to have the underlying data to figure out what is or is not going on out there. And then if you also have some pictures of things that, you know, you're saying, if there's been something done to help stabilize the site, that's fine. That makes life a little bit easier. But again, we still need a lot of the underlying information before we can figure out what may need to be done here. At least that's kind of where I'm coming from. Everybody else sort of on the same page on that? I mean, because
yeah, Chair, the only thing I would add, I know there's a cease and desist. But I would like to see some silt fence erected in the next couple days if possible to try and mitigate any washing out into the river.
I would suggest, and that's what and again, that's what I had spoken with the applicant a few times about, saying that we need to get this going, we need to get the engineer involved, so I would suggest it's Wednesday, but if we can have a meeting before the end of the week with the owner, the engineer, and the soil scientist, that'd be great. So we can have some action. Val, is the equipment still on site? The excavator still on site?
Yes.
So there could be some immediate stuff done very quickly. So.
Such as,
one
don't-
thing
as I said,
I think I would mention is I'm not, and you know this as well as I do, that I'm not a big fan of silt fence. I really don't think it does a whole lot. I mean, I think in this particular situation, maybe hay bales that are staked, you know, across the property, but do it in such a way that you don't allow water to flow from Main Street all the way back towards the wetlands, but create some barriers to at least slow the water down and maybe you hold it back, so you're not having those major low points where everything is funneled to one low spot.
We could do some wood chip berms,
Yeah, I mean,
check
something
dams, things
along
like
those
that.
lines. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
that, you know, you're not gonna have, again, I just don't like silt fence. I don't think it does that good of a job.
Mhm.
The hay bales with silt fence, that works a little bit better, but if you do the wood chip berm, if you do the hay bales, I mean, at least something to slow the water down before it gets to the back end of the property and it gets to the Quabic.
Agreed. Like I said, this was a lot. We had talked a little bit about some of these items back on June 30th when we had first started this, and the owner had gone out and just had some silt fence put in right away. It was his emergency way to get something out there. So, but yeah, that, as I said, I think get meeting with the engineer and the soil scientist this week would be appropriate if possible.
So, I mean, to me, that's a starting point, but I'll ask other commission members what they feel on it. I mean, it's not going to be a simple fix. That's sort of what you're feeling. Rich, I'll start with you on it.
Well, number one, I'm kind of concerned of that this little pie piece of property that a lot of the disturbance on and the state drainage runs through. I'm unclear as to who owns it.
Yeah, he owns this. He owns
I-
this. This is owned by like 3 or 4. It was weird. It was all part. if you zoom out, it was,
The assessor says it's part of the big piece in the back.
no, exactly, and that's what I thought, and there's a map.
So there's a ton of
Yeah.
work that has occurred on property that may not even be this person's property.
Okay, correct. What he's
So
failing
that
to-
needs to be clarified first. Does he even have the right to be doing stuff there? Because, it's not clear to me that he actually owns it.
Yep, and like I said, there's supposedly a map we saw had a line through here, and they have supposedly been in contact with the owner of this that didn't realize they owned it, and have now been working towards purchasing the property, is what I'm told. So that's where I had talked to him. I said that we really need to get your surveyor involved in this, and this needs to be surveyed, and a wetlands mapping has to be done. So, but
As
I agree
an
with you, Rich.
aside, Bruce, who's the tax assessor been sending the tax bill?
The wrong person.
Tomasos, because this, like I said, this is not shown. There was no vacant piece, so this has always been tagged along with the Tomasos. Again, it's what? It's not that much property, so I think in terms of, where is it here? Hold on. I can't. I gotta go here. It's not much of a property at all, but let's see.
Landlocked piece.
Oh, darn. Let's get off there. Here, patch. So this, let's do something like this. Pat, sorry, I did that perimeter. I'm like, what? That's not right. So then, so you're talking just about a half an acre.
Okay.
So this is from what we've always had, from what I can determine, that it looks like it's being taxed associated with the Tomaso's turf field.
Okay,
Look, this is all part of that property there.
Okay.
All right.
so that's something else that needs to be double checked as well.
Yep. Definitely. So,
Yeah, and I mean, no, the main priority right now is to get the site stabilized, so
Mhm.
what is
Right.
bad doesn't continue to be bad and make a bad situation even worse. This is this is terrible, quite frankly.
Is that it, Rich?
That's it.
Okay, Bobby?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said earlier, I think we need to stabilize it before the weekend and sit down and reassess the situation.
Thanks. Neil?
Yeah, I agree. And my first reaction is my first reaction is disgust. I mean, this it shouldn't have happened, and we're in a situation now where we're going to be talking about this for a long time, trying to fix something that had proper communication been done earlier, we could have avoided a whole powder keg that we're sitting on here. So yeah, let's get this thing stabilized first. Second, the scientists come in, tell us where the wetlands are, if they still even exist. As Bob pointed out, they may have been plowed under. And try to map it that way. Ownership and all that will sort itself out, but this one's going to take a long time to fix.
Okay.
I'd like to repeat again, the property in that area wasn't graded or filled in. If someone would like to come out and walk the property, I'm more than willing to walk.
No,
you on the property.
what I'm saying is from this
That
picture.
was-
So from what I'm saying, from this picture, it looks like there's a heck of a lot of wetland in there that is now under dirt. I'm not saying you regraded or brought in any fill, but when you clear cut it, something changed to that topography. Because from the pictures that we were showing, I don't see this water course, the wetlands in those pictures anymore.
Yeah, Neil, I think what we can do is that's working with the soil scientist and with the
Right.
equipment he has on site. We can, and that's why I want to meet with the soil scientist, because there we can dig down with the machines, because the wetland scientist only goes down a foot or two, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
go down, dig down and see if there are some underlying wetlands that were filled, and they'll be able to tell with a test pit very easily. So
Yeah. Yeah, so I
Well,
think
and-
after stabilization, that's the second step. And
Mhm.
I looked at my phone too. The weather forecast from Friday through Tuesday is 5 straight days of rain and thunderstorms. So
Well, and let's not forget, I'm looking, like Rich said, 75% of the work that was done may be on property that's not even his.
mhm.
That property that you're stating is, I had a title search done. There was extensive research done on that piece. I spoke to Mr. DiTomaso. He's actually aware that he doesn't own that piece because I tried to purchase it from him originally. He states he does not own it. Then we dug deeper, had a couple people look into it. We did a title search, and it's owned by another group, the Stages family, the original owners of the entire, I guess, corner there, and they split it off a few different ways, and I guess that piece was just never sold off.
Okay.
Have
we'll work
title
on that.
search.
That's a
You're not
minor
rightful
piece of
owner of it then.
that's actually a minor piece of the puzzle. We got to take care of, like we said, the erosion control and the restoration first. So
Bruce, is Mark still on?
8:30 now.
Yeah,
He must be gone.
I'm still here.
Oh.
Still here, but I'll be getting off shortly. But
Okay.
I agree with everyone so far. We need to get the area stabilized and then get more information to understand what we should do.
All right, I just wanted to check if you're still here, so this way if you had something, you could say it.
No, that's it.
Okay.
I would say after this discussion, I probably have to sign off. So,
Okay,
okay.
all right. Well, thank you for starting with us this evening. It's appreciated.
No
Ned,
problem.
Still got a long piece of that there.
Yeah, I
anything,
don't,
Ned?
not much. I just like some of the photos where we actually saw the water. I mean, the amount of sediment that's floating in the water, it looked very heavy. And that's going right into the Quabic River. And just from all the bare soil that's uncovered, it's just going to keep getting worse very fast, especially with a lot of rain coming in. So I think we got to get the utmost hurry into this and try and prevent this, get something over the sand safe. Yeah, like there's even one where the water looked browner than that. So, just I'm very concerned for the Quabic River, and we need to get this fixed as soon as possible. That's all.
Also, the picture he's showing you there, it's not the river. That's just
I know.
Spring.
I understand. Yeah, I could say there's the tributary that flows into the Quabic that it winds. Yeah, and we could see in some of the photos that it's, I see a little channel that feeds into the Quabic from the geographic information. The site there that has a lot. It's just, I don't know. It seems like a lot was cleared out. Again, I was somebody who rented part of that building for a couple, like not for just for election season. And so I was very familiar with that. And I agree with you. I think people pulled into that parking lot and threw garbage in there, bulk garbage. I don't think they're the regular garbage, bulk garbage, but still the debris blows in off the street and it just gets cluttered in the brush there. But to clean it up, which is a good thing, but clear cutting isn't a good way to clean up. So we're going to have to work at fixing this.
Well, I'm willing to do
don't
whatever
have
we have to
anything
do.
else to add. So, I mean, you heard my take on it. So I think, Bruce, if I'm hearing things correctly, everybody's basically the same idea that the first thing on the agenda is to get the site stabilized, so we're not having any type of significant runoff on it. We need to try to make sure that whatever is put in helps minimize some of the flow of water and picking up speed and just really eroding the area that's been cleared. So I think that's the first step, and then it's getting the professionals in to figure out what we're even working with before we can make any type of decision as to which direction we're going. But I
Agreed.
think that's basically where we're at right now. And then again, another one of the issues is who even owns all the property. So that's gonna play a significant role at the end of this too.
So, Val, like,
Kind of where we're at.
yep, so like we said, if we can just, Jal, if you can contact your surveyor, engineer and soil scientist, and we can meet there either tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, that would be the best point, so.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing there? He said sue. Am I being sued? I'm just
No,
trying to
surveyor.
No. The last comment I made was that one of the issues that's gonna have to be resolved is the property lines and who owns what. And although it may not be a significant issue right now, ultimately it will be a significant issue. So that's something that's gonna have to be resolved. If you've got a title search that's done and you know who the property owner is and it's not you, then apparently there was work being done on somebody else's property. So was there permission? Was there not permission? So, I mean, these are some of the things that will come up. But that is not the critical element today. The critical element that we're dealing with today is getting the site stabilized, especially because of what the weather forecast is over the next week. That is the most important thing you can do right now while you're working with getting the professionals in to figure out what we're even dealing with. And then we can try and go from there.
Okay. Once again, I'm gonna keep trying to send this through. I sent the property has been stabilized about as of a week ago, I believe. I have it on record with the emails. I can show. I don't know why. I think you have it now.
I just got something,
Yep, you have
but
it.
still, like I said, you won't let us on the property without you knowing. So
Can you
said-
show
so
the pictures?
No, I can't. Well, I mean, at this point, I'll follow it up. I'll follow it up to the commission. It's just some, it's just a
Pictures
couple
show
pieces
that
of a blanket are out there. It's a couple pieces of a erosion blanket that are out there. So, but I think we definitely got to meet out there either tomorrow or Friday.
This is an other storm that we had, and there has been no more erosion. It's been holding. It's the blank. They put down a blanket with the hay. That's,
All right, Val. All right, Val. I think that's so we can keep this moving. Like I said, I think we need to meet on the site tomorrow or Friday and walk it. So I think you need to get your surveyor / engineer involved and your soil scientist. So it'd be great if we could meet out there tomorrow or Friday. All right.
And who would I be meeting?
Oh, I can't hear you. What's that?
Who will I be meeting? I'd like to know.
Myself, Bruce.
Just you?
Yeah.
Okay. What time would you like to see me tomorrow there?
We'll call me and we'll discuss after the meeting. All right. Give me contact your surveyor, engineer, and your soil scientist and see if they can be out there as well. It'd be great to wrap everything up all at once. Okay.
Okay. But so I'm still confused. I'm sorry. I just want to clarify. After that, I'm still trying to figure out, do I have to do another meeting or how does this work?
This is just a stage one. This is stage one, finding what's going on. Once we get a plan of where the wetlands are, and we get an idea of what, and then there's the surveyor is going to have to survey where the wetland flags are. Then that plan will come back to the wetlands commission to verify what wetlands disturbance or what wetlands and upland review disturbance has occurred. At that point, we'll bring in a wetland scientist to now come up with a restoration plan if need be. So.
Okay.
All right. So stage one, very important, like the commission said, erosion control and a survey and a soil scientist. So I would contact them, send them an email tonight, have them call you first thing in the morning, and then give me a call in the morning and we can figure something out. Okay.
Okay, and you do see the pictures I sent?
Yep, yep, I do. It's a piece of erosion control blanket. So.
Yeah, across the whole.
Can't, but I can't see the silt fence. I mean, as we said, the commission agrees with me, what I had said earlier, that the silt fence is not a standalone erosion control. So there needs to
No,
be some hay bales
silt
or wood chip mulch or something as well.
Yeah, you could see the silt fence was fixed though in that both pictures. Right?
Understood, but yes, but
Yep.
we need more, okay? So,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So that's, if I knew you guys didn't have a picture, I would have somehow tried to figure out a way to put it up. So, because it looks terrible in the pictures you have, but the pictures where it's actually done right, it looks good. Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, but that's why it'll be good to have the professionals there, meet on site and try and figure out where to go from here and how to stabilize the site.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I hired a crew to stabilize it, like you said, because I actually went back and forth with a couple of different contractors just to get it right so nothing erodes. And I found one crew to get down there, and this is what they did.
Okay.
if you could have them there at the meeting too, that'd be great. If they could attend as well, everyone, more people, the better, so we don't have to repeat ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yep. Is that the end of this meeting?
This part of it,
Your part,
we still have other issues we have to take up.
so.
Okay, so next on the agenda is planners report.
All right. All right, let me gather my thoughts for a minute here. Oh,
I'm not
okay.
gonna say anything.
All right,
Yeah.
planners report. I gave you guys. Screen is messed up on me. There we go. All right. I sent you a text amendment, proposed text amendment, just to give everyone an FYI. I thought it was kind of prudent for wetlands issues, but the town is looking at revising the regulations. Right now, we allow a maximum of 40% impervious on a lot, and we can go up to 50% with a 5-6 vote. What we're finding, if anyone has gone through this, you'll see that we are running out of commercial land. Okay, so when you look in here, what is it? We're down to, does not include designated open space, Farmington. So we have 1% of vacant non-residential land. So we're running into a lot of problems. If you guys remember, like with Trump, 1600 New Britain Avenue, those kind of areas where we're looking to enlarge these areas and get a little more impervious. So what we're doing as part of that is adding a kicker onto it, which is this, saying, look, you can go up to 65%. However, what we're asking for is for a higher standard of water quality treatment. All right. So right now they're looking at changing the state water quality manual to right now we do 1 inch. Now they're looking to bump it up to 1.3 inches of treatment. So we're looking at it if you want to go up above this, you're going to need to go up to 2.6 inches of treatment. So that's your first, you have to treat your first 2.6 inches of what's happening with that is that a lot of these areas are in a sandy soil area. So a lot of this can be taken care of very easily with underground infiltration, with above ground systems like detention basins with wicks to get down into the subsoil. So we feel this is a much of an improvement because a lot of these older properties are designed based on old standards where just the parking lots and everything just run right off into the wetlands. So there really is not much of a treatment at all. So we feel this is a better way to kind of help the economic development of town and yet make a better impact to our wetlands and clean water. I do have in here a little map that may be of some interest. Give everyone an idea. Oh, no. This computer better not crash. It may crash. Oh boy. This was a map that we had of the town, and this was the wetland. This was our aquifer protection areas. We do this. Yeah, I'll kick it into the other one. Yeah, that photo behind it is just killing me. So, but you can kind of see these are the areas that we're talking about, which we know down south of Route 6, down by Trump, EBM, those areas, Spring Lane in here. There's a stretch along north of that and on New Britain Avenue. And then we got some smaller sections along New Britain Avenue, which are along the river, and Brickyard Road. So those are kind of more or less the areas that we're talking about. So again, not every one of these properties is going to be able to do this, but again, it's just allowing an increase in impervious by treating but with the kicker of them requiring an additional stormwater quality measure. So
What about some alternatives to, I'm thinking, the paved areas that go in, like there's a lot more being done with reinforced earth, and I know and there's an old example in the West Farm parking lot where they have the seasonal parking for Christmas time.
Yep.
And they put in, it's like
Yeah,
a paver. It's a paver with holes.
Grasscrete. Yeah, it's a grasscrete system. Yeah,
I mean,
and that's what this is.
So
that's what this is. This is allowing us to go these different routes and do different types. You could use a pervious pavement. You could use we talk about permeable pavement or green roofs, as you can see here. So there's lots of different things that people can do, and everything is changing every day. There's new products and new innovations. So just making sure that we use this. Hey, you want to go over 50? That's great. And again, some of these properties are already over 50. So what's happening is they can't do anymore. So they're an existing, pre-existing non-conforming. So there's nothing they can do. So with this, they can now come in and maybe do something, but with it, they're going to need to go back on the existing property, make some big improvements to their drainage system. By doing that, we clean the water because it's all a lot of it's in the aquifer protection. So we're actually treating the water going to the aquifer, and we're actually treating the water that gets down to our streams and our rivers and the wetlands. So we took it as it being, I think, a win-win for everybody.
So they could build an addition. They normally could if they convert some of their roofs to green roofs.
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that.
They can make that. They can take out a large parking area, make it a pervious pavement. They could put infiltrators. Take the storm drainage that runs right out to the Pequabic right now with just some sumps with some like catch basins with 18-inch sumps, and now create an infiltration system that can capture that, infiltrate it, clean it before it gets to the infiltrators, infiltrate it into the ground, and therefore clean up any kind of discharges into the wetlands.
Well, I see the logic behind it because you don't want, you certainly don't want a business to move out of town because they're out of space, but we don't want to lose our principles, but we should work with them to find ways to do both.
Exactly. That's what I said. I looked at this. I said, you know what? It'd be great to update the conservation in the wetlands commission on this, just because it does have to do with stormwater, cleaning up waterways. And I felt it was probably just to let you guys know if there was something that we were missing that you guys wanted to add in there. We definitely can talk about it. So
if we rewrite anything, we should start off with a big paragraph says clear cutting on your own is not allowed.
I don't like to read though.
I couldn't make it big enough. Arnett, I could not make it big enough, So
the other thing is that I don't know if there's an enforcement method that we could use to for the contractors who do this, who should know better. You know, our only hammer right now is with the property owner, but these contractors that come in and do this stuff and there's no consequence. It just seems there should be a method of bringing the rain, bringing the hurt to them, and they should know better.
I think DEP, if I'm not mistaken, there has been some case where like DEP has done that. DEP has the authority to go after a contractor. At this point, I don't think we don't. You know what I mean? So, I mean, no, as you guys know, we run into it all the time. Tree clearers, hey, clear this lot for me. Okay, and they go down there and they clear the lot. They didn't know that there was wetlands on it, you know? Again, there are areas where we don't, where it would be difficult to determine, but there's areas such as this where you're up along a edge of a brook or a stream, and you're like, hey, hold on, stop, let's I think we should make a phone call first, you know? That's something that I agree with you, that should have been the first thing, but.
But it sounds like that was part of the first thing, it just wasn't adhered to.
Yes, well, that's where the person saying that we're talking about the pipe, not about this clearing, but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other thing is this is the second situation in the last couple months where they're not even working on their own property.
Yeah. Understood.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, you're right.
These things, you know, these things just don't go away and they kind of like linger, which is some of the other items I have on the list.
And it sounds like this guy thought he had one meeting on this. We're going to be talking about this a year from now, probably a year and a half from now.
I tried to explain it to him. So
Yeah.
I try to give everyone all the information I can. I know it's a lot, but I explain people, try to give them, as you see in the agenda review, he got a copy of it. It spells everything out. And I told him, I said, look, let's expect this is going to take a while. This is going to take a while to map it and then come up with a plan and then to actually adhere to the plan and then to monitor the plan afterwards.
Yep.
So,
And if he doesn't believe you, have him talk to George Logan,
Yeah.
so
because George can attest to what happened over with that site on Farmington Avenue.
oh yes.
Yeah.
And 9 Apple Tree.
And 9 Apple Tree. So
That's why I asked what was his ultimate goal, and it finally came out that he wanted more parking.
no parking, yep. The site has always been a parking concern. We've always had parking concerns with there. It's an older building. And like I said, I mean, if he's there to fix up the building, then that's great. I mean, the building does need some care, you know? So, but like I said, I think going about it in the right way is the best way.
Yeah, that building's a mess. I mean, it's an old building, and I mean that would never fly today because that very back parking lot is like almost to the edge of the Pequabic River.
Yeah.
So funny story, my father used to plow that parking lot in the wintertime
Oh,
when
yeah?
we were in construction.
All right.
And
You all
part
set
of
with
that-
this one?
I think so.
All right.
69 Forest Hills.
Forest Hills, an oldie but a goodie. Quickly, this one shouldn't take that much. This one shouldn't take that long. This was stuck in a foreclosure. That's why not much work was done on here at all. Okay, so this was 2019, right? I think it was 2019. Was the last, yeah. So here's the approved plan. Okay, this is, man, this computer.
Oh, yeah.
This is really slowing down, gentlemen. So, but this was an old abandoned home. It went through a couple of foreclosures. The last owner had it, went back there and cleared the backyard. Come to find out, there's a vernal pool off-site, just off of the property. They had the survey done as a vernal pool. We flagged and we did a conservation easement, and we had them do a restoration plan as part of that. All right, so this is the restoration plan here. So we had a survey done. They did the survey. They They mapped out the conservation easement. And since that time, there's some photos. We've been out there over time. The lawn is coming in. They've got wood chip berms up there. The plants are all tucked in there. Our posts are out. There's a new owner. The new owner accepted the cease and desist and the wetlands restoration plan, and is actually doing all the work right now. Here's some of the plants, all the plants per the approved planting plan.
Just out of curiosity, like, is the new owner made aware of all this that was happening? You know,
Well, yeah,
before
the
he
new
bought the
owner we
property?
worked with, because there was a cease and we actually took the cease and desist and we filed it on the land records. We've been
Okay.
doing that as of late with properties such as this because we don't want the property to transfer without the new buyer knowing that. So
Yeah.
they had picked it up. We discussed it with them. We showed them what needed to be done, the plan, the minutes. They accepted it. They knew, again, it wasn't their fault, but they're buying the piece out of foreclosure and they agreed to take care of it. So this is a flip for them. So that's why we're in the final stages. The plants are planted, as you can see through here.
Mhm.
The posts are out there with all the medallions on them. So all we're working on right now is getting the revised easement taken care of and get it filed. And once that gets filed, we're technically done. So. All right, that's just a little update on that one.
And I'm assuming that that dirt that we saw, that's gonna be seeded?
That's the pictures are a little backwards. What you see now, this is what it looks like now, or this is
Okay.
what it looked like as of I had a date on here. As of like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So
Okay, so they've
grass
already
is
started
coming
trying
in.
to stabilize it with seed and stuff, okay.
Exactly, yeah, the grass is coming in. The pictures you saw at the end were what it looked like when he did some fine grading on the parcel. So I haven't been up there in a few weeks, but this is probably all in a lot better now with all the rain. So,
Okay.
all right. So hopefully this will come to the end soon. We can take that one off the list, and we'll add a new one. All right. One more, Batterson Park. All right, and I think the engineer is still on just in case if we have any questions. Tom Daly's still there? Yep, he's still there. I'll promote him to a panelist just in case he wants to be in. But what happened with this one, if everyone is familiar? This was the apartments off of Batterson Park Road. If you remember, we went out there on one of those super cold days. It was one of those like 2-degree days. We were wondering why we were out there. So
This was a commercial building, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was, there's those 2
Yeah, it
buildings
was a
here.
commercial
and-
project over in that area.
Exactly. And then there was
Right.
another building approved in the 80s that just never got built.
Right,
Here's 84. Here's the Bank of America building. They just put in those solar arrays down in here. So right up in here is where the approved apartments were. Okay, so nothing's really changed. There's a new owner now. They came in, they made some tweaks to the building and some of the landscaping and some layout. One of the tweaks. I opened up the wrong one. This one right here. This is the one right here. There we go. One of the tweaks they made to it was they went with an underground parking facility. Okay. So what happened is here's the circle that we were parked in to walk those wetlands out through here. What they've ended up doing was making an underground parking garage here. As part of that, they needed to kick out this road a little bit and which kick this out a little bit. So to access this and make this whole turn, they needed to push this out. So what I kind of did here is this is this is the proposed tree line. This is what was, approved. So they are creeping out with the cutting and disturbance a little further. It's not a lot, but it is something, that's why I didn't think it needed a site plan modification. I wanted the commission to see it, just so they're aware. If you look through the landscaping plan, this is all gonna be New England, control, restoration mix. So it won't be lawn, it'll all be an erosion control mix. So,
Wasn't part of that also supposed to be for, the butterfly mix
Yep,
and all that?
this
fun
right here,
stuff?
that's all in the pond. We actually changed it and added a lot of the pollinators to the
Okay.
basin itself on the outskirts, all around it. But so that's kind of where, and again, this is more of an FYI, but I wanted so you guys to know if anyone had any concerns, let us know. But I thought it was minor enough, but I thought it was enough that the commission should look at it. All right. And there's another thing that we're working with them on is there's a dog park over here, over the top of the stormwater infiltrators. So there's been that dog park is new, so we're working with them to either relocate the park or work on some kind of a management system where there's no pollution into the infiltrators directly into the ground. So because we do have some concerns with Batterson Park Pond as it is, we do have a phosphorus problem. So we're looking to try to minimize that as much as possible. So. Anybody have any questions? The engineer is here and the developers, I think, are online. I think I saw them still online.
Yeah, no, the only comment I have really, Bruce, is, if they're gonna extend down a little bit in that area you're showing right now, just making sure that the erosion control measures are put in accordingly.
Yep.
That's all.
It's
And
the
that's
same
something
exact,
you
I
guys
think
can
it's
handle.
it's the erosion control, it's still silt fence and silt sock in that area. Instead of it being here, they're just picking out down along here. So.
Yeah. I mean, just out of curiosity, is the radius right there going underneath to the parking garage? I mean, I think it's probably sufficient for a vehicle, but what about fire trucks? Is that gonna
Well,
be a
they're not
problem?
going down there. They're not gonna go in there. I mean, the fire trucks can come in and out. I mean, Tom, you're on. I mean, is the intention for the cars to come around this way and make the turn here? You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, they can go either way, but the fire
You're on mute again.
keeps on doing that. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
The cars could go either way.
Oh,
Bruce, we
okay,
run the
okay.
auto turn for that, but the
Alright.
fire truck, there's no need for the fire truck to go there. They would go around the facility. And
You're on mute again.
it's not under the whole building. It's only 40 parking spaces. It's just that little
Exactly.
wing.
Yes, right here. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, that's how I was down in here. So.
So I mean, how do they deal with a car fire? Should that start down there?
The truck would park outside and they would pull a hose down the
Okay.
driveway.
All right.
And I think there's probably, I'm not a building code expert, but I'm assuming with the parking garages, there's some kind of fire suppression system in there anyways, probably,
Probably, or at least a
least-
Siamese connection or a hose bib, where they just bring the hose down, they plug right into it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything else. I don't know about anybody else.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Anything?
So I don't have anything else on this, but I do have a question on Batterson Park overall. Is now a good time to ask that?
Yeah, is it for the gentleman or do we do the engineer on or are we all done with this project?
No,
here?
it's more about the work that, we had talked about a couple months ago with other people about cleaning up the pond and all of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom, we're all set if you guys want to go. Thank you very
I
much.
don't think there's really anything else.
hopping
So
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Tom, what have you got? Are you guys looking at starting construction fairly soon on this?
Yes, very soon. So we're working out these details. As we said, the developer was thinking underground parking was an amenity that the client wanted. So we've done this, but with changes, you're the first step, then we have to go back to planning and zoning. And then they're immediately gonna submit a building permit.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So yeah, my question was going back to Patterson Park, right? Remember a couple months ago, we were approached, people wanted to start doing maintenance in there, cleaning up some old structures, et cetera, because the state was taking over and wanted a swimming hole for the summer and ultimately a longer term plan. I guess that something's changed because I saw an op-ed from Matt Ritter where they're now soliciting ideas on what to do with that property. But I was just wondering, has anything happened in there? What's the status of that?
Well, the
overall?
buildings were demoed, okay, from what I've been told. There was a master plan that they were working with, and we were involved on some of the points. They were talking, there was some parking down in here, amphitheater kind of like over here, and the swimming area here. What happened was they actually backed off on really opening it for the summer. They were gonna have it open and kids going in there, they can use the whole property except for the swimming, because there was a concern with the water quality issue. They were working on that. What they ended up doing was it's technically open. There's no signs that says it's open, but you can park in here and walk down here and use the park. People actually do that now, but that was their way of opening the park. So at that point, I haven't heard anything else. I mean, other than the state trying to take over the property, but the last I was told was that this master plan was going to follow through to the state as well, and then the state would be building it. So I haven't heard anything after that.
Didn't they get some grant money for this?
Yeah, they gave it to Hartford. That's what happened. It was all awarded to Hartford. Hartford was supposed to do it all, and then I think it got to a point where they got the master plan working, and then I think it was somewhere down the lines it got transferred back to the state, that the state would take over ownership of the park, build it, and then to maintain it. So more or less make it a state park rather than a city of Hartford property.
Yeah, and that's what I read a couple of weeks ago. Then in the Sunday op-ed, Matt Ritter, saying that we need to take a pause on this and have a study and have people, weigh in on what they'd like to see done there. So, so right now, everything that we approved or said okay with, the demolition and all of that has been done, but nothing else, right?
Nothing else, yeah.
Okay.
The master plan is the only thing that I saw that they were bouncing back and forth with, coming up with agreeing on one of the master plans. But I wonder if that's what they were talking about, is maybe that they have the master plan and they want people to comment on it, or
yeah, maybe.
Hopefully they're not doing a 180 going back saying, do we want to even make it a state park? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to, I rode my bike by there recently, and I couldn't get in there close enough to see if anything had been done, so.
They said, like they said, technically it's supposed to be open, so for people who walk, you can't like drive through there.
Yeah.
But no, but I think people have been doing that anyways, regardless of the chain across the driveway. So
yeah. So then my only other question was 9 Apple Tree. Is that,
that's on the list as well. That was supposed to be some work was supposed to be being done.
Yeah.
When George was away on vacation, George came back. I met with him yesterday, and he was going to contact Byron because nothing was done at that point. He was still trying to get his cousin out there to get the irrigation, so we can then grade and get everything ready to plant. So at this point, that work has not been done. So
shocking.
It's stabilized though, isn't it? It somewhat?
The site is stabilized, meaning it's not going anywhere. It's all, he has all the hay bales out there and everything's pretty stable where it won't go anywhere.
Okay.
So it's just And again, part of the problem was they weren't gonna have all the plants. Remember, they only had some of the
Yeah,
plants.
right.
And they
Yeah.
had to wait for the fall to do the rest of the plants. So Byron was gonna put a call into George was gonna put a call into Byron and then get back to me, but I haven't heard back from him yet. So,
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for staying on top of that.
no problem. Other than that,
Bruce?
I think that's it for my planners report. I bore you guys enough.
Bobby,
Oh.
did you want something to say tonight?
Yeah, if we're all done, it was a pleasure working with you guys, but unfortunately tonight's gonna be my last meeting. I am tendering my resignation tomorrow.
But explain why.
I am taking a position as alternate on planning and zoning.
My suggestion, folks, is we keep this spot open so that when Bobby changes his mind, he can come back. I'm just saying.
Trust me, hopefully the seat won't get too cold because I was informed that it's no longer going to be from the comfort of my home. I have to show up in person now.
So, but I will say I've enjoyed working with you. I wish you the very best. And I'm willing to keep the seat open for a while.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Bob.
much. It's been a pleasure.
We got
Thanks,
the,
Bob. And
we'll start-
that's a good way to getting out of the restoration of that property on Main Street.
Yeah.
I think we're
That's
gonna,
going to be a pleasure compared to some of the crap he's going to have to deal with.
I think we'll start the pool on the odds of over under.
Over under.
Back. I give him one meeting.
But I think seriously, we all wish you the very best. We've enjoyed having you here.
Thank you very much. And always at will. If you guys need anything, definitely reach out.
It's been a pleasure. And jokingly, not to change subjects quickly, but I know you mentioned the Mizzy property. Just to give everyone a heads up, I did talk to George on that again as well yesterday, and we're trying to do a final walkthrough with Mizzy on that one. So I hopefully will have something to report. Probably not for the next meeting, but I'm assuming that it'll be like the 1st of September after we get back from our break. All right.
Okay. So minutes, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of June 21st, 2023? Wetlands Commission?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
It's Rich, I'll second it.
As we have a motion on the floor to approve the June 21st, 2023 wetland minutes, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining?
Ned will abstain.
Okay.
Right.
So 9:13, we'll close wetlands and start the Conservation Commission. Bruce, you've got on here the Farmington Land Trust.
Yep, that's just on there because we are working in a conservation easement. So I just felt it's great to, as the Conservation Commission, just discuss it and vote on modifications to the trail within the conservation easement area. So
Do we need, are you saying we need to do something on this now?
yeah, that's all. Just I'd like to just get a quick little vote and discussion on that. So because it's something that we never. We need to start, we need to, not we, but I need to start pushing you guys more to start adding these conservation items to the Conservation Commission.
So which one are you talking about with the land trust? Are you talking about the parking area or are you talking about the bridge? Or
Trail,
are you talking about both?
the trail, trail runs through the conservation easement itself. So we have,
Okay, so
town
it's
of
just
Farmington.
it's that portion going from the parking lot up to that big tree where they pick up the balance of the trail.
Exactly, yep.
Okay. So you want a motion that we are in favor of the trail
Modifications,
improvements?
yep.
That
Within,
lot 9528 Mountain Spring Road?
yep, within the conservation easement.
Yep. So would somebody care to make that motion?
This is Rich, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Ned.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the Farmington Land Trust trail improvement at lot 9528 Mountain Spring Road. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And Bruce, you do have the letter, right, from the property owner?
Yep, I've got both property owners. I've got the Reiner piece, which is where the bridge is, and that's,
Okay.
and I said the Farmington Land Trust has a trust, has a
Yep.
easement over
Okay.
that, and then I have the other one as well.
No,
the
perfect.
property owner.
Okay, thank you. You have anything for planners report?
You want me to?
No?
No, I am good. I'm good.
So then have, the next item is approve the minutes of the June 21st, 2023 Conservation Commission meeting. And I get a motion to approve the minutes? Going
Bob.
once?
Motion.
Finish it off.
Second.
Who was seconded?
Yeah. Who's gonna second?
Somebody.
Please.
The Rich, I'll second.
Goodness.
So we have a
Get
motion
out
on
of
the
here
floor
faster.
to approve the Conservation Commission June 21st, 2023 minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Am I the only one?
I think Ned abstains.
Yeah.
I abstain.
We got
Yeah.
you.
Abstaining?
Everybody else, I heard a bunch of ayes.
Aye.
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 That was me in the background. Aye, let's go.
Okay.
All right. Nothing, Sandy? We don't have anything on the agenda so far. There's nothing. I don't see anything coming down the.
You had to say something, didn't you?
I know I did. I got a jinx. Yeah, I'm sorry. But
No, you
just
did
to
it.
give everyone a heads up, so we only have one more meeting before the August break.
Yep.
So maybe the only thing we may have is 504. If anything, we'll have 504 Main Street, some kind of update on that one. So, all right.
I mean, you know, if push comes to shove on that, you guys can pretty much take the lead in making sure the site gets stabilized and
Yep.
start dealing with some of the
Yep, understood. It just was
engineers,
difficult.
the soil
Yeah.
scientists and whatnot, and surveyors.
It was
Uh,
difficult in the beginning because we were trying to explain it to him and I kept tripping over the wetlands map doesn't show it's wetlands. And so once I got through that, then we went out, took some pictures, and then he wanted us to notify him. He didn't want us on the property unless we called him and made an appointment. So we are with a little problem there.
Well, we're almost at the point where we don't want him on the property without notifying us.
Okay.
It's not his property.
It's not
No,
his
Yeah, right.
property.
Some of it is, some of it isn't. So.
You're gonna miss this, Bobby.
Yeah, you're right.
It's very different.
You can always join the festivities, you know, even if you're not on the commission.
If you got nothing to do, call.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I think that actually does it for this evening. I got 9:18, so I guess we'll close here.
Okay.
Okay.
Bobby, I really do wish you the very best. You know, everybody else, I guess we'll see you on, what are we looking at, the 26th? And then we have
26th.
month of August off.
Yeah,
26th.
26.
So, all right.
All right,
Very
have
good.
a good one,
All
everybody.
righty.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Good night,
It's been a
everybody.
pleasure.
Talk to you later.